We put a FOIA request into the Illinois State Police requesting how many concealed carry licenses have they granted. And of that, within Cook County, where Chicago resides, by zip code, how many concealed carry licenses have been given out. And then we juxtaposed that towards the most violent areas in Chicago. What are the most violent neighborhoods, like the West Garfield Parks, the Englewoods, where you have a murder happening or a few murders happening every single week. And what we found was that in the affluent suburbs is where the majority of the concealed carry licenses were going, and that in these highly crime-ridden neighborhoods was actually the fewest. Not even the numbers were very, very, very sparse in the highest crime areas. And part of the reason for this is I talked to a lot of people that live in Chicago in the South Side, is the cost of getting a concealed carry weapon. First, it costs about $650, which is the highest cost among right to carry states. So that has to go, that's a licensing fee as well as, the range time. Another part of it is you have to spend 16 hours on the range to get your concealed carry licenses. But there are no ranges in Chicago. They're all in the suburbs. So this prices some of the people who need these guns the most for self-defense really out of the market. The top 5 counties that have the most concealed carry licenses are outside the city of Chicago. Within Cook County, they're all predominantly white and affluent, making above a household making above $80,000 a year. You have the lowest 5 with concealed carry licenses contain the 3 most violent neighborhoods in the city of Chicago: West Garfield Park, Englewood, West Englewood, and they all have the lowest concealed carry, as well as are 98% black and live right at the poverty line. So there's a huge disparity between the two.
I really don't want to add commentary to this video because I don't have time to sit there and get in a diatribe about all of the feelings and sentiments that come to mind about the shit that I already know. And one of the primary reasons why I am an avid gun owner and avid supporter of the Second Amendment, despite the fact that I don't support the NRA. Recently, and then this has already been discussed, and they threw out a whole bunch of shit, basically there was a woman by the name of Shannon Allen who came into New Jersey, thought that she was good because, there's a patchwork across the United States, if most people don't know, when it comes to reciprocity, where not all states recognize each other. So she came into the state. She tried to be honest, said she had her gun on her in New Jersey. It's not that way. New Jersey doesn't recognize any other state. And New Jersey has a crackdown on gun violence, right? Which is mainly aimed at, throwing black men in poor, impoverished, underserved, poor education, poor schools, no jobs, no economic opportunity areas under the bus. New Jersey has what's known as the Graves Act, which gives judges no discretion. And I've discussed this before in other videos, but I'm going to come full circle on what I'm about to say without getting too drawn out. So, the Graves Act was really just a throw them under the jail and throw away the key type of law that disproportionately affected black men in urban environments. Because when we look at the number of people who die at the hands of guns and homicides, it's disproportionately black male. White supremacy likes to point and say that that's just how niggers are, as opposed to really addressing and looking at the socioeconomic aspects. Now, what's interesting, and I've stated this before, is that with the whole Shannon Allen case and a lot of the pro-gun, disproportionately white male advocacy, they have supported Shannon Allen, significantly. Set up, the funds for, to pay for her lawyer, and just a whole bunch of stuff. They've done a lot, written all type of articles about, Mrs. Allen and her situation, and how they're big, they're in support of her. And really, in my mind, be it the history of the NRA and the NRA type of people who write these articles and stuff like that, it's not really in support of her per se, but more so in support of national reciprocity, which is what they want. And this is what this case brought to light, which is national reciprocity. Okay? So I don't trust the RA and the NRA in regards to that. I don't trust their Mr. Corleone Noir tokenism. I don't trust that because it's already been demonstrated the white male bias of the NRA when it comes to cases that involve African Americans, especially African American men, as is in the case of their support of George Zimmerman, as in the case of their support of Mike Dunn, as is the case of what was the other case? The Mike Brown situation. Okay, and also I believe her name is Renisha McBride. I hope I get the name right. But the NRA has not been friends to the African American community. I can say on the flip side, the African American community has not been friends of the NRA. Because we've had stupid leadership, the same people who, want to decrease the crime in the African American community instead of addressing the root of the crime in the African American community. They support the disarmament of African Americans, somehow believing that the disarmament of African Americans will somehow bring about the disarmament of whites, and also the reduction of crime in the African American community, and that's just not the case. I don't know why black people are so naive to believe that, but they simply are. And then they get upset when the George Zimmerman cases happen and pop off. My position is that African Americans need to be equally as armed, not only to defend themselves against white racists, but also to take back control of their own communities, even though I don't believe that to be the solution for the poverty that exists in urban environments. It's a money issue. It's a socioeconomic issue. It is not a how many guns are on the street issue. But, the reality is that sometimes you just simply have to fight force with force. And or the perception that I might not want to fuck with them because they might shoot back. Okay? I mean, this is the whole premise of the argument that many of the white men, when it comes to the Second Amendment, that's what they advocate for, right? That's why, they run around with open carry, even though I think open carry is tactically stupid, especially in an urban environment, which I am not a supporter of, but I am supporter of, concealed carry. But their whole ideology is, if you don't know how many people are out there who are carrying, that crime will go down, because the criminals won't know who they can attack. Grandma might pull out, a freaking, a Colt Python and start, laying waste. They don't know. And I actually agree, with that mentality. And I agree with that mentality being applied to the African American community. But one of the things that frustrates me, in all this Second Amendment stuff and how black people are slowly being incorporated into the Second Amendment movement, and I mean very, very slowly. aside from the idiots that already exist, and they're just rabid anti-gun people in the African American community. You got black women running around, screaming, rape and pillage in the black community at the hands of black men who come out of their matriarchal, single-mothered, impoverished homes and who go out here to victimize other black women. You would think that they would, just like white women who run around screaming white male rape and pillage, they would be the number one advocates of the Second Amendment so that women can defend themselves. Hey, I'm all for, if a woman is getting raped and pillaged and a man is is the one engaging in the rape and pillage, that she blow his head off in her own defense. I'm all for that. But, there's this, I wouldn't hurt a fly mentality. And I'm like, that's just not how the world operates. But getting back to the main point of this video, one of my main frustrations, and, there's an article that was written by a brother on the Trentonian. This is in Trenton, New Jersey. And if I could find it, N.J. Weedman's passing the joint Shannon Allen case illustrates discrepancies in gun laws. And, he wrote this article. And actually, let me refresh the page to see how many comments are on this page. So, he wrote this article where, and my computer wants to be sluggish and slow right now. Well, anyway, more or less, he was basically discussing the agenda of white supremacy in terms of disarming black people. And it's been that way. The first gun laws were created to, disarm black people. That's no secret. People even within the NRA have acknowledged that. People acknowledging, many different social injustices against black people as it pertains to the Second Amendment, in trying to get more black people to become pro-Second Amendment. The irony of all that is the fact that all these things were previously denied. They were denied, but now they are being acknowledged because, the system is threatening largely and disproportionately white males, white average American males access to firearms. So now it's like, oh my God, we got to get the black guys on board. It's almost the same as feminism with white females. It's like, oh my God, we got to get black females on board, even though we're not really concerned about black female issues. We just want to bolster our numbers now and come with a unified front. Which, is one of those things, like I said, I have an issue with. It's the, hey, black guys, join us. And then as soon as, the victory is won, it's like, okay, niggas, now y'all get back to the back of the bus just like you were previously. So I got an issue with that. But in the comments section, there's white guys, they're making claims of oh, you're pulling the race card, and the silly thing is like, even the arguments about pulling the race card. The race card has essentially been acknowledged by white men in their defense of Shannon Allen in the New Jersey case where she was being arrested. I mean, they pulled out all the stops. They went on the discrepancy between Ray Rice and him punching and knocking out his wife. And they want to send Shannon Allen to 3 years in prison, but they give Ray Rice the discretionary program, and then they also point out how she lives in an impoverished area, and these people need firearms the most, right? But they can't get access to them. They also pointed out how, if they were to lock up her mother, she has 2 sons, and then they would have a legitimate anger against the system, basically creating 2 more black criminals to just basically become another statistic in the system. I mean, they were addressing like every angle that you could possibly think of that black people have already addressed. But when we say it, it's not given any credence. When we say it, we're pulling the race card. But when white men say it, and when white men write articles about it, because at that particular moment they want to defend their aspects that they're concerned about how this, this law or this attack on this woman will affect them in the future. Because, hey, I give them at least credit on the fact that they're thinking ahead of the game. They're like, wait a minute, whoa, we don't really co-sign the whole black people stuff. But, hey, if this goes down, this may affect us later down the road. And I've said before in numerous videos as it pertains to many different topics that black people are the canaries in the coal mine. Whatever happens to us will eventually happen to white folks. Because, again, white people don't recognize that the white oligarchy, it doesn't really serve their best interest. The white oligarchy is essentially against them. But because they're wrapped in the blanket of white security, they believe that these oligarchs operate in their collective best interest. And I'm like, no, the hell they don't. They do not operate. And it's not a matter of liberal and Republican. It's a matter of the haves versus the have-nots. People in control and people who have vast amounts of wealth versus people who don't. And what they do is they create the delusion or the illusion that they're actually fighting with each other. And they get in front of the camera, they fight with each other. But when they get behind the closed doors and the scenes, they're patting each other on the back and say, oh man, that uppercut that you threw me, that was real slick. You think they believed it? And that's the problem with a lot of the white male ignorance out here as it pertains to, who's doing what and all this, we want America back and all that Tea Party bullshit. If the Tea Party was, if the Tea Party were black, the Tea Party would be called the Black Panthers. And they would be arguing and talking about how they're some violent gun-toting people and all that other stuff. But anyway, now my page refreshed. Edward Fortune, he addresses a lot of stuff. He addresses the stuff about how the Black Panthers, when you look at California laws, to stop open carry, especially the 1968 Federal Firearms Act, on top of the Controlled Substances Act, has really disproportionately affected black people. And it was designed to do so. And by creating this situation where you have a bunch of people who are stuck in poverty and have very few options, you set it up so you have these pitfalls that they fall into because they're trying to survive living in that environment or living in that situation. Right? You dump drugs into the black community, and then you create laws that are around the war against drugs and substance control. Right? Because black people, we don't manufacture the drugs. Right? The first drug extractions, or the first the drugs where whether it's cocaine or whether it's heroin or morphine or crack. These are not things that black people designed. Do you see a whole bunch of black chemists running around on top of the fact that we're not the ones getting it in the country? But yet somehow, some way, these drugs end up in the black community, and they've been ending up in the black community ever since the end of the civil rights movement. And no white person can tell me that the incorporation or infusion of drugs into the black community had nothing to do with trying to bust up and destroy the black civil rights movement. It absolutely did. Right? And again, what the situation was created was to get black, you create this 1968 law. If you're a felon, if you're a criminal, blah, 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 we don't want you to have a gun. And then you just start locking niggas up all over the place for whatever bullshit trumped up crime that you want to create, right? You got the open carry laws. Oh shit, niggas, let's make open carry illegal. Oh shit, now he's got a firearm. He's walking down the street with a gun. Okay, bam, arrest him. Now we take his gun rights away, right? We take his gun rights away, and we take his ability to vote away, so that what? Black people can't vote against the best interest of white people, right? As a voting bloc. Right? This is the same as what, we see with the whole, voting registration. First of all, black people don't even vote like that. They don't even vote like that. Right? But we got to create these laws, to prevent black people from voting. Right? That's how much the fear is, because black people did actually come out and vote for biracial Barack Obama. They actually did come out because they wanted to see something else up there other than the face of a freaking white man. right? But see, once that happened, now we got to, oh shit, now we got to change the laws. And the gun laws were the same way. The gun laws were designed to keep guns out of the hands of black people. The New Jersey gun laws were designed to keep guns out of the hands of black people after the 1967 Newark riots. Okay? You know, that's what they're designed to do. But now all this anti-gun, keep guns out of the hands of black people is spilling over. These laws are now affecting white people. Where now white people can't carry in their own state. Like New York, like New Jersey, you know, like California, you know, even though they have the whole thing with the whole San Diego Ninth Circuit Ward and whatnot. But even with D.C., what did D.C. do? And I knew D.C. was going to do it. They framed their laws after what? New Jersey, New York, and Maryland. You know, this whole justifiable need or good cause, which is nothing more than what? A way for them to effectively deny black people, or excuse me, people in general, their Second Amendment rights. But this is what they had been historically doing against black people. Oh, well, the police sergeant doesn't feel that your reason is good enough. Denied. You know, Martin Luther King, here you got, I mean, here's a man that not only was at a time, but was in a position to where I don't think anybody on the planet in 1965 to 1968 needed a firearm to defend themselves more than Martin Luther King. But he was denied his Second Amendment rights. Right? And what I don't get about black people is you need to know that the system of white supremacy that we live under has been set up to deny you your Second Amendment rights, but black people are grossly anti-Second Amendment. You know, because of this, this whole like catch-22 situation where, again, the discrimination, the poverty, the infusion of drugs in the black community has created a situation where you have young black men terrorizing their own community because they're trying to make a living, because there are no economic opportunities in their own community that their own people control, because they spent too much time trying to join white people and integrate into an infrastructure and play in a sandbox, of the toys of the white kids who didn't even want to fucking play with them. Right? So that's why the black community is all fucked up and whatnot. Right? And in order to take that back, you're going to have job creation. And on top of that, you're going to have an enforcement arm. Period. You're going to have an enforcement arm. I've had to talk to, black leaders and elders, which I technically speaking just call them olders because they're not really elders because they haven't done anything. They're just old. And I'm like, you don't have an enforcement arm. They always want to do, just like white people, and try to make everything a moral argument. Oh, you're committing crimes because you lack white Jesus. As opposed to, no, you're committing crimes because you're poor and you're impoverished, and we as black elders haven't set anything up, and we have no economic opportunities for you. So you graduate high school at 18 and you walk into absolutely nothing. The black older people in the black community, they don't even have an enforcement arm. You know what I mean? They don't even have a way of taking control over their own communities. I support the idea that some of these people will have to be put down. Some of these people are too far gone. They're like rabid dogs. It's not their fault that they caught rabies, but unfortunately, it is what the situation is, and they're too far gone. What black people should know is that they are continuously and actively being denied their Second Amendment. And I have no clue why we still have these black politicians and these black legislators who are so quick to help facilitate the denial of black people's Second Amendment rights. It's mind-boggling. They think they're actually doing something for their own people. They're not. They're not. If anything, they're working against the collective interest of black people. To even defend themselves inside the community and from forces outside the community. So anyway, this video is just a video in support of the Second Amendment. I'm going to put 2 links in the description box for people to get their CCWs, right? Young black men to get their CCWs. I encourage you all not to get caught up before you become 21 so that you can actually go out here and get yourself, a firearm to defend yourself. I would have liked to see George Zimmerman's face, had he been following Trayvon Martin, had Trayvon Martin been old enough, and had a Glock 19 in his face, like I've stated before, that, it would have been interesting to see, what would have happened had George Zimmerman got out the car and started following Mr. Coleon Noir around. It's funny how Mr. Coleon Noir has this whole slew of supporters, white male supporters that support his videos and everything else, right? But they support him and his pro-NRA, pro-Second Amendment videos. But when it came to Trayvon Martin, it was like knee-jerk reaction. Oh, he's guilty. He's guilty. George Zimmerman was completely justified. Just knee-jerk reaction without even hesitation. I mean, the whole YouTube, white men just went into a whole, it had to be Trayvon Martin's fault. Not that he was scared, not that somebody was following him, not that he responded, I mean, hey, even I agree that he should have hit him and probably ran off or whatever, instead of trying to actually, do the coup de grace parts, but got his ass shot. Because I do believe that there was a scuffle that ensued. And the only a handful of people who are in the Second Amendment gun community on YouTube have actually, spoken out about it, who are white. Yankee Marshall is one of them. Never Enough is one of them. And these are people that I don't particularly agree with all the time, although I can say I agree with Yankee Marshall a little bit more. He's got some fuckery in his videos that somebody addressed a long time ago. And Never Enough, same thing. He's got some, Republican-ish, type of Fox News type of views as well. Again, this is why I don't fully support, these, white male predominant, gun groups. Because when they think about who's breaking in their house at 3 o'clock in the morning, completely ignoring the economic disparities between the groups in America, they're thinking about a black guy. They're thinking about shooting a black guy with a hoodie. They're not thinking about shooting a white guy in a hoodie, even though most of them live in such predominantly white communities that if anybody was ever to break in their house 3 o'clock in the morning, it would be somebody white. Because whites attack whites and blacks attack blacks. But when you want to look at, more blacks attacks whites than whites attack blacks, right? In terms of economic crime, it makes sense because poor people attack rich people. And if white people have all the money, it would make sense that you would have more black people attacking white people. But you have white people that like to always make that a racial argument as opposed to an economic argument, which is directly tied to race in this country. They always want to do that. But anyway, the two permits that I'll tell you all to get as young black men is your Utah permit and your Florida permit. Both of those permits, I don't know why Florida doesn't recognize Utah. They don't recognize Utah probably because Florida requires that you have a 4-hour training class or some live fire, which really isn't live fire because most of the time they're using that sim gun. But anyway, I digress from that point. The two permits are the Utah permit, non-resident permit, and the Florida non-resident permit. That'll have you covered in 33 states. I'm talking the day you turn 21, you go to if you don't have any criminal record, no bullshit, no nonsense, you go to the police station and you fill out your permit in your home state. If you can't do that, then you go and you find your nearest NRA meeting or gun show, or you go to a different state and you go to that gun show and you bring your, usually it's like $112 or $160 or something like that. It varies. It depends on what state and what show and stuff like that. And you get as many permits as you can possible, as many non-resident permits as you can get possible. The two main ones are Utah and Florida, okay? Because some of the other states, it doesn't make any sense to get them because Utah and Florida will already have them covered. So you only want to get the permits that are only going to add to that number. But understand that you're never going to have a full map that covers all the states in the United States, because again, the whole West Coast, namely California, is doesn't recognize the shit, and neither does doesn't recognize out-of-state permits, and neither does New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Like, once you get into the Northeast is equally as retarded. The irony is all the space in the middle, all the white places in the middle of the country are pro Second Amendment, and then the little corners where the majority of black people are, other than Chicago and Detroit, are, anti-gun. And the irony is it's just like voting, It's like, here you have a country where even though there are obstacles, African Americans have an ability to exercise a Second Amendment right that pretty much no other nation in the rest of the world has. They have much, much, much more restrictive gun laws. Which is why, even though, the founding fathers and their bullshit with slavery and everything else, I give them a thumbs up on the Second Amendment. I give them a thumbs up on that. But the irony is you have black people who are in America, right? They have to deal with racism in America, right? Everybody else outside of America thinks that America is so racist and all we talk about is race, right? Because technically speaking, we're the only country where these interactions are really going on. I mean, what percentage of Europeans are black or African? Very, very small percentages. They're not going to have any sort of major civil rights movement. They don't have a situation. They don't have the type of history to have that. But getting back to my point, you have black people in America who can exercise the Second Amendment that white people in Canada can't exercise, or white people in Germany can't exercise, or white people in the UK can't exercise. And you got black people in America who want to run around and scream how racist white people are all over the place and don't even grab the Second Amendment to defend themselves. There's no excuse for that. There's absolutely no excuse for that. I know that the white folks is going to put up obstacles and what they're going to do. But there's no excuse for you not trying to challenge those obstacles and just laying down and getting into some stupid state of mind where you believe that the biggest threat to the African American community are African Americans being armed. You're working against the interest of your own people. And with that, I end this video.
It has been suggested also that this movement preaches a gospel of violence.
No, the black people in this country have been the victims of violence at the hands of the white man for 400 years. And following the ignorant Negro preachers, we have thought that it was godlike to turn the other cheek to the brute that was brutalizing us. And today, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is showing black people in this country that just as the white man and every other person on this earth has God-given rights, natural rights, civil rights, any kind of rights that you can think of when it comes to defending himself, black people should have the right to defend ourselves also. And because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes black people brave enough, men enough to defend ourselves no matter what the odds are, the white man runs around here with the doctrine that Mr. Muhammad is advocating violence when he's actually telling Negroes to defend themselves against violent people.
I see. Well, the Reverend Martin Luther King preaches a doctrine of nonviolent insistence upon the rights of the American Negro. What is your attitude toward this philosophy?
The white man pays Reverend Martin Luther King, subsidizes Reverend Martin Luther King, so that Reverend Martin Luther King can continue to teach the Negroes to be defenseless. That's what you mean by nonviolent. Be defenseless. Be defenseless in the face of one of the most cruel beasts that has ever taken the people into captivity. That's this American white man. And they have proved it throughout the country by the police dogs and the police clubs. 100 years ago, they used to put on a white sheet and use a bloodhound against Negroes. Today, they have taken off the white sheet and put on police uniforms. They've traded in the bloodhounds for police dogs, and they're still doing the same thing. And just as Uncle Tom, back during slavery, used to keep the Negroes from resisting the Bloodhound or resisting the Ku Klux Klan by teaching them to love their enemy or pray for those who use them despitefully. Today, Martin Luther King is just a 20th century or modern Uncle Tom or a religious Uncle Tom who is doing the same thing today to keep Negroes defenseless in the face of attack that Uncle Tom did on the plantation to keep those Negroes defenseless in the face of the attacks of the Klan in that day.
But the goal of Dr. King is full equality and full rights of citizenship for Negroes.
The goal of Dr. Martin Luther King is to give Negroes a chance to sit in a segregated restaurant beside the same white man who had brutalized them for 400 years. The goal of Dr. Martin Luther King is to get Negroes to forgive the people who have brutalized them for 400 years by lulling them to sleep and making them forgetting what those whites have done to them. But the masses of black people in America today don't go for what Martin Luther King is putting down. As you said in one of your articles, it's psychologically insecure or something of that sort. I forget how you put it. But you didn't endorse what Martin Luther King was doing yourself.
I do not reject his goals of full integration and full equality rights for American citizens. Do you reject these goals?
If you don't think that he's walking on the right road, I'm quite sure you don't agree that he'll get to the right place. And if you would classify his method as psychologically unrealistic, I think that if a man's method is psychologically unrealistic, which means the road or the means or the method that he's using, I think as a psychologist, you would be very doubtful that he would reach the right goal.
There is one correction, Mr. Malcolm, I'd like to make here. In that same piece that you're quoting from, I said that his methods are effective. His philosophy of love, of the oppressor, I thought, was psychologically burdensome. But I would be more interested in your goals.
Number 2, self-defense. Since self-preservation is the first law of nature, we assert the Afro-American's right to self-defense. The Constitution of the United States of America clearly affirms the right of every American citizen to bear arms. And as Americans, we will not give up a single right guaranteed under the Constitution. The history of unpunished violence against our people clearly indicates that we must be prepared to defend ourselves, or we will continue to be a defenseless people at the mercy of a ruthless and violent racist mob.
Today, in our discussion of minority groups, we have with us 2 guests. One is Minister Malcolm X. Shabazz, one of the top leaders of the Nation of Islam, or the so-called black Muslims. And we also have Mr. Herman Blake, one of the teaching assistants in the courts. We will discuss today some of the goals and some of the strategies of the Nation of Islam. And I wonder if Mr. Blake might start it off by asking Mr. Shabazz a question.
Minister Malcolm, the thing that I thought might be good for starting it off is to talk about one of the most pervasive beliefs in the general society about the Nation of Islam, and that is that it is an organization dedicated to the use of violent means to attain its goals. The question I have is, how true is this, and why do you think it persists in society?
Well, the Muslims who have accepted the religion of Islam and follow the religious guidance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have never bombed any churches, have never murdered any little girls, as was done in Birmingham, have never lynched anybody, have never at any time been guilty of initiating any aggressive acts of violence. During the entire 33 years or more that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been teaching us. The charge of violence against us actually stems from the guilt complex that exists in the conscious and subconscious minds of most white people in this country. They know that they've been violent in their brutality against Negroes, and they feel that someday the Negro is going to wake up and try and do unto them as they have done do unto the whites as the whites have done unto us. We aren't a violent group. We are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to obey the law, to respect everyone who respects us. We're taught to display courtesy, to be polite. But we're also taught that at any time anyone in any way inflicts or seeks to inflict violence upon us, we are within our religious rights to retaliate in self-defense to the maximum degree of our ability. We never initiate any violence upon anyone, but if anyone attacks us, we reserve the right to defend ourselves. So to accuse us of being violent is like accusing a man who is being lynched, who is being hung on a tree, simply because he struggles vigorously against his lyncher. The victim is accused of violence, but the lyncher is never accused of violence.
And then again, if we tell you that Negroes are being hung on the tree or being shot down illegally, unjustly, and those Negroes should do something to protect themselves, you say you're advocating violence. The white man is tricking you. He's trapping you. He doesn't call it violence when he lands troops in South Vietnam. Please. He doesn't call it violence when he lands troops in Berlin. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, he didn't say get nonviolent. He said praise the Lord, but pass the ammunition. But when someone attacks you, when someone comes at you with a club, when someone comes at you with a rope, when someone comes at you with a gun, despite the fact that you've done nothing, he tells you, suffer peacefully.